Carolyn, you give me the thumbs up when we're ready. We all ready?
We're ready.
Or is that wait?
No.
That's right. Yeah, got it. All right. Well, thank you.
It should come over and said recording started.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Welcome to Rotary Club of Hudson's meeting, October 16, 2024.
Maybe he's got it muted, I don't know. It's recording, no?
Oh, he can hear us.
I'm Sergeant of Arms and happy to be here this morning, energized. We've got a great speaker today, and I'm thrilled to have them. But before we get going with that, I'm going to ask Pat Shearer to come up and give us an invocation. I've literally spent seconds finding this prayer. We beseech thee, our Heavenly Father, to bestow the grace upon this meeting as we enjoy our fellowship one with another, maybe grow in stature so that we may be able to give more to our friends in Rotary and in turn give strength to the ideals of Rotary in service of mankind. Amen. Way to improvise. I really appreciate it. And may I ask Jim Lang to come on up and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and the four-way test of the things we think, say, and do. Joel and Jim Lang. It's baseball season.
Good morning, Rotarians. I made the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay, I will work on it. I need to work on this first.
Now, the four-way test. These are the things that we think, say, and do. Number one. Two, is fair to all concerned. Number three, goodwill and better friendships. And number four, will be beneficial to all concerned. Any music this morning?
No music this morning, unless you'd like to sing something. Okay, solo, a cappella. No guests that I see this morning, so I think I'm just gonna turn it over to Kelly, our president. Big round of applause for Kelly. Come on.
Good morning.
And we'll check the
All
phone.
right, we have some housekeeping to get done with. Paul Harris, how many are familiar with Paul Harris? Yeah. Good, everybody is. All right. So some housekeeping and things we should have done maybe a little while ago, but we're going to get done now. If I could ask Mr. Yard to come forward. And I know you're here, Jay. Jay is a Paul Harris fellow and has his pin, but never got his certificate. So I wanted to give her a certificate. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. And Mimi Becker, please come forward. Same. Mimi got her. I don't know when you guys got your. Long time ago? Okay. But there was your certificate. Thank you, ma'am. And if Mr. Shear could come forward. Oh, yes, Mr. Shear. Bedford is now a four-time, really, a four-time fellow, meaning over 4 grand. Four-time fellow, that's uncommon. Here. That's I get that next year. Just a few quick announcements. Salvation Army, Jim, we're in good shape, right?
Like 6 months left.
Did we reach out to the clock tower?
Yeah.
So that is, on the 23rd, starting the 23rd of November, and then going from the 9th of December through the 13th, am I correct? Yeah, the 23rd, which I don't know if that's before or after Thanksgiving. There is a Veterans Day celebration for anyone who, the city does it, but it will be at the cabin, at the flag pole, if it's good weather, the flag pole, if not inside the cabin, if it's good weather. We're also considering like a Christmas breakfast. And help me, but I think this one requires here, is it the fourth? I think Terry was running with this, am I right? Am I off? At any rate, for all of us, we come in, have the swing choir do their thing, and then we go out to the dining area and have breakfast. On, I think it's the 4th, but I'll confirm that. Seen on the green is the 7th, am I correct? Coach, 7th?
Yes.
And I'm assuming the sign up will be forthcoming. And Rich, you say you have a sign up that you pass it around, or you want to talk about fall fundraisers?
Good morning, Rotary. It's that time of the year, the fall fundraiser. You remember when we all signed up? You will remember, you said that we would throw some money towards this event. And by the way, this was run by a former deceased member, Tom Page, and taken it on ever since he passed away during COVID time period. So what this means is that we have flowers you could give to loved ones, art, whatever. They generally speaking go for, Maryland, correct me if I'm wrong, 25, 29.
Inflationary funds.
Yeah, I will find out. I've been guilty. I just got through October 15th yesterday for bean counters. So I will call and find out what their new pricing is. And then Pat, you know, handles the popcorn. 24 a box of popcorn or container. Yeah. So I will find out. I think the flowers are closer to 30, 29 something. So I'll find out what those are. Or in lieu of both those, or in addition to those, there's a column for a $100 donation. As done in the past, some people have said, yeah, I don't want to do the flowers, popcorn, I'll just get the donation. So what I ask is put your name down the left side, and then you put how many flowers you want, how many popcorn, or I just put $100 for donation. I think that's it. Oh, other than, when, oh, great. Andy, I do not get these questions from you so early in the morning. Right. The alarm accidentally went off. So, normally we are able to get, I think I got it ordered by the 3rd week of November, maybe a little earlier, that ring a bell. And then I think we have in the 1st week in December, we hand out to all of you, but I'll get those dates. We're early this year, so that's a lot. I will update you with the dates next week. All right, I will call a flower shop, which is run through Costco, as Maryland knows, to get the pricing on the flowers. Coach, you look like you raised your arm, or is that? Oh, you know, that was 8 ounce, 16 ounce. Yes. Yes. I will repeat the question for those people that can't hear it. The lovely Mimi said, did the school service learning be involved? They were to a lesser extent last year, just due to some issues they were having with holidays and all that, and kids being able to pay. We'll reach out to Evan and find out if he can set up on mine like he did last year. Because some parents were worried about, I give my kid the money that's supposed to go towards flowers or whatever, and it never gets to us. Or I'm not saying that happens. It's always, you know. They're not my kids, and my kids are Rotary, but the Hudson school. But I will get more information on how to pay online, and I will get with Marty, because Pat was, one of you guys was kind enough to give me his telephone number and email address. But in addition to all this, and I'll pass it on now. Start right here with Phil. Love to see you, Phil. Phil went out. That Ryan. But November 7th is the District 6630, which Pat already knows. Gala Foundation event. I believe it's going to be here in the falls, all the falls, at the event center. We'd love to have you. I think it's a Thursday, if I remember the 7th, correct? From 6 to 9. I'll get more information about maybe to Maryland about what it costs to sign up. Pat and I are both usually there. We're not, and Ron was kind enough to come at the last event in Cuyahoga Falls and be what he does best, Lieutenant Dane, Sergeant of Arms. But we'd love to have more participation, what I'm saying, from our club, because there are a lot of clubs there with a lot of greater participation. So not trying to guilt you, I'm just trying to make you aware. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. And Pat, you had an announcement?
So if you're not interested in going to the this District 6630 Foundation Gala, I have another opportunity for you that night. The Great Trail Council is having its second annual whiskey and wine event, which will be that night at Hillwright Lodge in Cascade Valley Metro Park. You'll have an opportunity to sample 3 bourbons that you are well, that's what the wine's for, maybe. So for those who make facial expressions like that when they hear bourbon, there's an opportunity for you. Driftless Blend, which is commonly known as Bourbon Drinkers Poor Man's Pappy Van Winkle. Willet Pot Still and Angel's Envy Triple Oaked. We'll have an opportunity to taste those 3, plus several other local distilleries libations. And then also there will be several different wineries that will have multiple opportunities for you to sample some local wines as well. So that's Thursday, November 7th, from 5:30 to 8 o'clock at the Hillwright Lodge, Cascade Valley Park.
Thank you, sir. All right, with that, let's get on with our program. David, if you want to introduce our guests.
Thank you, President Kelly. Good morning, fellow Rotarians in person and joining us via Zoom. I'm really excited for our speakers today. Megan Higgins and Christine Callahan will be discussing an inclusive playground they have been working on for quite a while here in Hudson. It is an amazing project, and they will fill you in on their backgrounds as well as the project. So please join me in giving a warm Rotary welcome to Megan Higgins and Christine Callahan.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting us today to the Rotary meeting. I know some of your faces out there and have talked to you about this project. I'm Megan Higgins, and this is Christine Callahan. And I am the founder and president of the Hudson Inclusive Playground, and Christine is one of our committee members and has been incredibly involved in every aspect of planning and designing. So a little bit about me. I grew up in Stowe, right next door. My family still lives there. My husband and I moved to Hudson in June of 2020 for my daughter to go to the Hudson City Schools. She was 3 years old. Isabella is 7 now. She's in 2nd grade, and she was born with a neuromuscular disorder. So she has low tone everywhere. She's weaker on the left side than the right side. She was delayed in all of her motor skills. And we knew that she would be in the special education program, and Hudson has best. So we've loved the school system, and we couldn't wait to make new friends here, play on the playgrounds, and just, create our own life here in Hudson. But we quickly realized that the playgrounds were not conducive for someone like Isabella. She really couldn't play on any of our playgrounds, and more often than not would sit with me on a bench and watch all her friends play. So 2.5 years ago, I reached out to the city and asked Tom Sheridan, our city manager, how we could bring in a couple more pieces of accessible equipment. And he asked me to come in and have a meeting with the team, and I was able to educate them on what inclusive play actually looks like. So just a couple facts out there. The disability community is the largest minority group in the world and the only minority group that anyone can join at any moment in their life. Just in Hudson alone, 1 out of 5 children are on an IEP or 504. 1 out of 5 children in the United States have a disability. And in the Hudson City School District, over 1,000 children are on an IEP or 504 receiving services out of roughly 4,600 students. So we have a lot of children alone in the community that have a disability. So our playground is, an inclusive playground is a universally designed playground, so everybody can play to the best of their ability. It's for every age and every ability. So this is not just for children with disabilities, this is for their siblings so they can play together. This is for parents with disabilities so they can access the playground and play with their children. This is for grandparents to play with their children. I know some of you have heard this, but we have a video of a 91-year-old great-grandmother on the zip line with her 9-year-old granddaughter, and they're playing and having a wonderful time together. So we have a couple of posters up here that show some of the equipment that we will have on our playgrounds, and we have some facts. We also have some circles up here that kind of show what exclusion looks like on our playgrounds and all the way to inclusion, and that's ensuring that our playgrounds right now currently have mulch, which is ADA accessible. However, if anybody has tried to push a stroller or wheelchair or used a walker, or we have, any visual impairment, mulch is not the best. And my daughter will tell you she hates the mulch because it makes her trip all the time. And the only other thing that would consider your playground accessible is a swing, an ADA accessible swing. And I mean, swinging is really fun, but how many times do kids want to go and just swing all by themselves at the very end of the swing set? And that's all we have to offer right now in Hudson. So our playground is going to be 1 acre. It will be at Middleton Park. The city of Hudson has designated that land. The city, Hudson City Park Board designated that land. And we are completely redoing that park. We are going to build a bigger parking lot and actually pave it. We'll bring in water, sewer, and electricity, build family-style restrooms with universal changing tables, and then we'll get rid of all the playgrounds in the park, and we'll bring it up front. And that's where we'll build the 1 acre, and we will have a smooth rubber surface, but it'll actually be more like turf, so it'll be like grass, so it'll be soft to walk in and sit on if you want to sit. And then just some of the equipment that we'll have is we'll have the zip line, an accessible zip line, and then a regular disc seat zip line to be able to race on. You can climb and crawl through a large accessible rope structure. And we will have an inclusive teeter-totter. We'll have a roller table, a roller slide, which is really important for kids with cochlear implants or those that have diabetes and insulin pumps, because the plastic on slides will create static electricity and interfere with the cochlear implant or the insulin pump. So we'll also have ramping on our main play structure to every single level. And not only that, but wherever there's ramps, there's parallel play right next to it for a higher level skill of activity. So that way, like, my daughter can be on the ramp, but her cousin, who is 10 years old and in 5th grade and a super climber, can be on right next to her playing side by side. So an inclusive playground, every piece of equipment is very intentional, and it is also placed in very particular spots. Every single detail is thought out. And I think Christine can tell you, like, we have learned so much about every single detail. Even our sensory boards that we have will be adaptive switch technology. So if you cannot use your hands to activate a sensory panel, you can plug in a switch and you have your little button that's your own personal, and it will start the sensory panels for you. So it really is thought out. So not only are we going to be building a world-class playground, this is the first fully inclusive playground in Summit County. We've been working closely with Summit DD on this project. And we also just found out that our playground it is built, it has been designed and will be awarded as a national demonstration site for inclusive play. So this will be putting us on the map, which is a really exciting adventure. And then my final thing is the finance of this. So this has been a project of love, and we've had a lot of cheers and a lot of tears along the way. And I'm so fortunate to have so many incredible Hudson residents, professionals, and parents who are on our board and who support this project. And our total cost for phase 1 will be 2.9. And then we've raised over $1.1 million so far. And we're still waiting to hear back from Congresswoman Amelia Sykes for $850,000. We received $500,000 from Casey Weinstein, $180,000 from Christina Rovner, and Summit DD and the Ohio Department of Disabilities, we received $430,000. So phase 1 of our equipment has been purchased, which is a huge, huge part of the playground. We're currently funding for the surfacing, which is a little over $500,000, and concrete work, the concrete pathways. That's about $200,000 to $300,000. And then for phase 2 is another additional about $400,000 to $500,000. And phase 2 would include a wheelchair swing that you can actually push a wheelchair onto, and then you sit with them as well, so you can swing together. A merry-go-round that is accessible and fits multiple wheelchairs, multiple children. It has benches, it's covered, and a couple of other sensory fun climbing moments. So I will give this to Christine.
Good morning. Thank you for having us. So I'm Christine Callahan. My husband and I have been in the community since 2002 when he opened up Callahan's Flooring here. And in 2015, we moved to Hudson from Stowe. We were right over the line on Norton. But part of that decision was also because of the services that would be provided to our son, Andrew, who turned 17 yesterday. He also has neuromuscular issues. It was a little more involved than Megan's daughter. His nervous system didn't develop properly, so he is not mobile or verbal. He's in a wheelchair. So I was introduced to Megan 2 years ago to start working on this. And for me, I find it kind of ironic that they chose Middleton Park to designate for us. I went to that playground one time with my kids. The equipment is in the far back. There is no trail to get there. I pushed his wheelchair back there. My daughter played for a little bit, and that was the last time I was at that park till we were touring it, is the potential for this. There are many wonderful things in Hudson, but as a parent looking at our playgrounds for accessibility, we're failing. And, you know, personally, off the record, don't tell anybody, the fact that we have to raise this money in the city is not giving us more support. They've designated the land, but I feel like for the amount of people that we have here and the money that goes to our park, we should be leading the charge on this. We want to be the best. We want to put ourselves out there. And I feel like this is something that when you go to our playgrounds and we don't have a single one that has accessibility across the board, with the population that we have here, it's really for me disappointing as a citizen that it took Megan to start this and push it forward. I give her kudos because I never even thought about it. Like the research and learning that she brought to me was amazing. I kind of accepted as a parent 15 years ago that these were our options. So I really feel like when we talk to groups, when we talk to people, everybody thinks this makes so much sense. And for us, the biggest thing you can do is talk to other people, because I think knowledge really changes people's perception of what we have here. You know, anytime we go and talk to people, it kind of moves that ball forward of what they know. One of the things Megan talked about with going from exclusion to inclusion is at one point in a meeting, someone said, oh yeah, you can open that playground and it can be next to the regular one. That's not inclusion. That's still separate. I forget what the word is up there. But the idea that this is just for people with disabilities is crazy. We've taken our kids to other playgrounds and everybody's playing together. It is not just for the kids, for the adults, like Megan said. The wheelchair swing allows a parent in a wheelchair to get on the swing with their typical kid if they want and be able to swing with them. The older style wheelchair swings required someone besides the wheelchair user to crank a ramp down, get the wheelchair on, crank it back up. If you were a parent in a wheelchair or with a walker, you wouldn't be able to do that with your child. You need someone who's physically able to do it. The fact that this entire surface, every piece of equipment will have things that someone who has limited mobility will be able to access is to me like amazing. And I can't, again, I just go back to, I can't believe across the board it has taken this long in the area in general for people to go, this is what we need. We need places where everybody can come together. And we really look at it as, you know, from birth to age, whatever, this will be something where people can interact and play together.
I just have to tell you a quick story. We went to Canfield, Walnut Grove, which is over an hour away, to play on an inclusive playground with Christine and the rest of our team. And it was the first time that her son, Andrew, who was 16 at the time, 15, 16, and Claire was 10, I believe at the time, it was the first time that they were ever able to play together on a playground. And we have a video of them on the zip line together, and there wasn't a dry eye on the playground watching them play, that it took that long for two siblings to be able to play together. So we're definitely, would appreciate your support and help in this. Yesterday, we just got our full video walkthrough. So I did bring my tablet today if anybody wants to see it. We'll also post it on our social media and website. So we're pretty excited. And last thing is my niece who's 10, who is, like I said, super climber, completely full abilities. Every time we go to a playground, because we visit a lot now to check things out, the first thing she asks me is, are we going to a fun playground or a boring one? And when she says boring, she means the regular playground you find everywhere. So this truly is a playground for everyone. Thank you.
We like to ask questions. So these are not softballs. I don't know the answer to these, but I think this will help establish the need for this a little bit more. You said the playground that you mentioned is in Canfield, but that's how far? That's over an hour away. Are there other inclusive, like high quality inclusive playgrounds? Where's the nearest?
The closest ones are Rootstown and Beechwood.
Rootstown Beach. So hardly the sort of place where you can take your kids on a, you'd have to make a special, intentional trip to do that.
Stowe just redid the playground by the fire station. It's pretty visible. You'll see that. It's partially included. And it is so that's where no, because there is some adaptive equipment that is by the turf areas, but then their zip line is by the mulch, their swings are by the mulch. I took my daughter, our son now lives at Hattie Larlam in Manaway earlier this year. So when that playground opened, I took my daughter and one of her friends to play there. And my daughter, she comes to all these meetings with us, came up to me just because it does say there's something inclusive in their name, and Skip, I think the I is inclusive. She's like, this isn't inclusive. There's mulch and there's this. And then at one point she came around and she's like, Mom, there's a girl over there in a wheelchair and she can't get on this equipment. And so, there were a few things, and her friend around and went on some of the equipment with this other girl who they had never seen before. And that's the kind of stuff where I say, the knowledge my daughter has now is what we want everybody to have. And that's why we're happy to be here today, because getting that information out is where I say, if everybody in the city understood how that impacts kids again, we go to, and it can help everybody at any age. But it is so amazing to me to watch her and see like, because as a parent, I didn't even know what she knew until I met Megan and Megan started teaching.
So I'm projecting one of the benefits of having this. Well, it will draw people to Hudson.
Yeah,
I'll tell you, so I'm a big believer in communities, creating things that, be shared by other communities. You all are, you grew up in Stowe.
yeah,
I go to the Stowe Dog Park on.
yeah, where Solar is, the playground there.
Which is one of the best ones in probably Ohio. And I'm a big advocate. And every time I go there, I see people all over who bring their dogs there. And I'm like, this is one. This is people that are enjoying it. But it's not just for the people of Stowe, it's for people from everywhere. So people come there, and obviously when they come, they come to Stowe or whatever, they're spending dollars in businesses and everything. So there's an economic kind of story for this as well.
Yes, so there are studies and research done on this. People will drive over 80 miles to go to an inclusive playground. So they're coming not just from like right next door to us, but they are coming from counties much, much farther away. So it definitely, like I said, we drove to Canfield to go to this inclusive playground. And I've gone down to Columbus, I've gone to Cincinnati to an inclusive playground. I mean, we've driven far places. And part of our playground being with the Play Corps' national demonstration site is that will also be a research playground. So there will be a QR code that people can scan and tell them where they're coming from, their experience on the playground, and then that will then be given to the city so the city can see who is coming into our city, where they're coming from, how far they're driving, if they're buying gas here, if they're buying food here, if they're coming from over an hour, 2 hours away, they're definitely going to be spending money here.
Great. All right.
I was just gonna say, when you were going through your 4 tenants, is that what they're called? Am I getting the right? Like what?
Test.
Okay, the 4-way test, when you got to number 3, like I immediately thought of the playground, and now the words have escaped me, but I think it was about building relationships and.
Is it beneficial for all concerned?
Yeah, yes, I think they're beneficial for all concerned, but I think there was something in there too about relationships, is because.
Does it build better relationships?
Yeah. And that's where I look at that, and it does. And, one of the other things that Megan has started recently is a Facebook page to network among the disability community in Hudson and those who have connections to Hudson. This opens up that opportunity. Like when you run into parents, like I've learned from Megan on this, but even on the medical end and needs for my son, learning from other parents has helped us immensely. And, and I try and do that. Like if anyone asks me, hey, will you talk to this person? I'm like, yes. And so I see those fitting right into this playground.
So
Yeah, and one other thing is that I always say with our playgrounds, being able to have kids play together and create empathy for typical developing kids so they understand that there are peers that may need help. And currently right now with not being able to access the playground for the disability community, you're already teaching children, because that's the first place they learn to play. The first place they learn to socialize is on a playground, and you're already teaching them those people don't matter because they don't even worry about them. They can't get on the playground, so you don't have to play with them. And so, I think it's setting a precedent that already at a young age, like don't interact with people with disabilities.
So I'm gonna brag about the schools for just a moment and our kids, because although we don't have a playground like we're describing right now, I think a number of years ago, our kids at East Middle School led an effort. I really don't remember the specifics about it.
I can tell you, because Andrew was at Eastwoods at that time.
Please.
It was one of the intervention specialists. She sold socks, decorative socks, and, did it through them to build, not the We Go Swing, the Sway Fun. The Sway Fun. And it is similar to like where I was talking about or Megan was talking about the wheelchair swing where people can just wheel on it. It's more of like, kind of consider it like a big teeter-totter. Like you can get up there and there's space for wheelchair, there's like space for typical kids. and they can make it move. And that was definitely led from that pool to raise the funds to put it in. And I know when McDowell did their playground during our bond issue work, they worked with the companies we're talking to about equipment in order to make that playground at the school more inclusive.
Another club. Standing, but it's. So, all right, so, I'm just gonna put out something for my friend Kirkland Larkin, who saved the school so much money on the landscaping for the master facility plan project we went through, that it paid for that big playground that McDowell lot was saving. So I'm very proud of him for that and our school district.
My daughter got to play on that playground, so.
Yeah. So that was gonna be a basic problem. Save. The last thing I was gonna ask, you mentioned in terms of like the need for this, and by the way, I totally get, it's for disabled kids, it's for typical kids too. I don't know if I'm using the right terminology there, but in terms of the demand for this, you mentioned a number of kids who are not IEPs, individual education.
504s.
Not all of those kids have the disabilities that require require an inclusive playground. Do you have any estimate of the number of kids in Hudson and nearby communities, maybe even who need an inclusive playground?
So I had a number, but this was from quite a few years ago. So I don't know that, I want to say there were around, I could be totally wrong. I don't want to really give a number out there. It was definitely in the thousands, so that some DD actually, has in there.
I think that would be a good
Yeah.
thing to have in your
Yeah.
pitch book. Oh, I'm sorry.
And for those of you not familiar in the school side, so IEPs, individual education plans, are for things that are considered like learning disabilities or developmental disabilities, where 504s are things that are medical. For my son, because in addition to like just the physical limitations he has, because it was that whole nervous system that didn't develop well, he is not typically developed as far as just his cognition and understanding. So he had an individual education plan. Megan's daughter, right now, because they're mainly dealing with the physical end of it and the medical things that need to be addressed, is on a 504. So to that end time, even the 504, which is technically just medical, like Isabella, and Megan didn't say this, like on a typical piece of equipment that spins around, Isabella loves to get on those. But at some point, the kid's getting going so fast, she can't hold on and she flies off. And that's part of like the things that spin on this playground have some walls and some seats or traps. So kids who are typical can stand up. Kids who need extra support can have it so that they're not flying off.
Hi, Christine Hudson. I have a daughter who's 39 and Meredith doesn't walk and doesn't talk. And when my older children were younger, it was difficult to find books for them to read or for their friends to read about disabilities. We tried, and each daughter, I have two older daughters, they handled it very differently. One pretended like her sister didn't exist, and the other one was out there telling the world how proud she was of her sister. So it's really interesting what kids do. I have a granddaughter, Alice, who's in the 2nd grade, who's in the same class with Isabella. And she was super impressed by the fact that Isabella's mom wrote a book about disabilities. And I think everybody should know that, because bibliotherapy is such a great way to reach kids. And this whole process, I think, is wonderful. I am a city council member. I do support this. I do think the city should give more money. I have a minority vote on it, but I will continue to push for it as much as I can.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I didn't phrase that really well, because I mean, the city is designated the place, but to me, it's the helping us to get the word out would also make like such a huge difference. And that's where I'm like, we're trying to talk wherever we can, so that, because I just feel like the more knowledge everybody has, they get us here. And to Pat, so the other thing that Megan does is she's a board member on another nonprofit that was started by a Hudson mom called Piper's Key. And Piper's Keys is about finding the book that matches the disability for that child. So they'll create libraries. They've created libraries in some of the local schools. There will be a Piper's Key like lending library at the park, but it's about exactly that, like find that thing that matches so that not only the siblings can see it, but you know, the child themselves has that representation.
I have a question and a comment. The question is, to what extent is the city will this park become a responsibility of the city parks and recreation program? And if so, how will your organization work with them to have primary recommendations, say, or decisions about managing the park? So that's the question.
Yes.
You know,
So we have worked very closely with the Hudson Park Board and with Public Works. And this is a gift to the city of Hudson. So we will not be maintaining the playground once it is built. So this will become a City of Hudson park. They will maintain everything. I will say at the very beginning, when I first met everybody at City Hall, at that time, and to their credit, they have educated themselves. But at the time, they thought our playgrounds were inclusive. And so we did a lot of talking about it, and they all jumped on board. And so one thing I will say, we've been in close contact. We text, we call, we email. They have been involved in every process of this, you know, even down to there's different types of servicing we can use. And I reached out to Trent Wash, who is head of Public Works or assistant supervisor of Public Works. And I'm like, hey, is there one you like better than the other? Or is there, what do you think? And so he's had a lot of opinions on this. And then also, as they have moved forward with Park Board, they started a new committee, which is the Playground Committee. They have the Inclusive and Accessibility Committee. And anytime they're adding new components to playgrounds now, they have reached out to us. They reached out Trent actually texted and said, hey, we're ordering some new ADA accessible swings. Which ones do you guys like the best? What do you think are the best? Because we've had some opinions on different types of class and how you open the swing. And then also they are getting ready to put in a couple new pieces of equipment at Colony Park. And the playground committee members reached out and said, there's a couple of pieces of equipment. What do you guys think of these? Do you think they're accessible? Do you think these are good? So they've really been great about involving us now. And I think being aware of what truly is accessible and inclusive and not, yes. So I do think moving forward that the city is really making a great change in inclusivity.
and the comment then is, are we aware that the city has to come up with some matching funds in order for us to accept some of the dollars that come from other jurisdictions? of
Yes.
governance?
So
And the comment is,
Okay.
if so, then let us know so that we can lobby for that item on the budget.
yes, so the grants, there is a matching grant that I believe they have to put in a third.
So for the money that Congresswoman Sykes' office is trying to get us, there is a matching component. Someone at the city told me it ends up being around 30%. Like once it's awarded, there's Bill's shaking his head. There are formulations that happen that end up saying like, here's exactly what it is. Like we don't know ahead. So I do know in the current council workshops for budgeting, there is enough money that should be able to be that matching component. So yes, any words to your council people that, please leave this in, make it an important thing for next year. Because obviously you see on our little thermometer over there, getting Congresswoman Sykes money, and the matching money gives us another $1 million. So, we're hoping that that happens because we would really love to break ground on this next year. The goal is to do this while Isabella still wants to play.
Yes, and so phase one, with our grant with the Ohio Department of Disabilities, we were able to purchase all that equipment, and it has been purchased and will be here by the end of the year. And the city of Hudson is going to store it until we break ground.
All right, on the development part of it, the total amount of this kind of floored us when we got into it. Part of it is the park we're going into does not have electric, sewer, or water. And as parents, we said, real bathrooms are required. This is not a porta potty. This is not a latrine. We need real bathrooms and adult changing tables. There are some public places where I still had gone into with my son, like the science center. Like, I need some place to change him. And they're like, you can lay him on the bathroom floor. I'm like, no. I'm very good at saying I need an accommodation until they give me an accommodation. It was still a floor, but it was in the classroom in the back and not on the bathroom. So that was a non-starter for us with the city, like real bathrooms that truly are accessible and have the things that we need.
Well, thank you so much for your advocacy. Presentation. And a couple comments. First one is, I do wish the city would fund it. Hopefully they pay for the bathrooms, or at least ease the, the installation of all the utilities that need to go, having experience in the city and schools. However, I am glad that you guys are actually managing it. The thoughtfulness behind this just amazing, especially with the, the barcodes thing. Right. And then another comment, we've talked that soccer for all is more IEP than the side of kids, but I just dropped off a note for a kid who was able to get it, and they live in South Akron. So we are drawing from all over. So I can absolutely believe that this playground will benefit the whole region. And then in terms of the value of equipment, it's not a big thing, but we had for one vision impaired child, we had got a ball with bells in it, and all the kids love it. So we might get more of this, but it just showed me that you might get something to accommodate one child, but really provides pleasure for everybody. One question, and I know the schools have been very good about getting equipment, but you were to have the opportunity of, say, having a board member and treasurer for the schools. What else is there more that you would hope that the schools would do?
Yes, so I love that. And I have talked to Dana Addis, too, the superintendent. And I know that Hudson City Schools are very supportive of this. Dana wrote a wonderful support letter for us to share with people. And I would love to have the schools involved. We want the kids involved in this. So we would love to do a fundraiser with the kids or some sort of way that, they can see that the school supports this too. So we're open to ideas. We have a lot of kids who, the kids are so excited about this. I actually, today, one of our committee members is the kindergarten teacher here at McDowell, and she asked if she could show the video to her students, and she was going to record their reactions when they see the video of this playground. And anytime we talk about it, as Dr. Getz said, her granddaughter Alice is in my daughter's class, and as a children's author, I do a lot of book reading. So I got to go into her class and do a book reading, and we talked about the playground, and they were all thrilled. And I got so many text messages and emails from parents saying, hey, my kid came home talking about this playground and they're so excited. When's it opening? Like, what's going on with it? And so the kids are excited, and they're saving their own money. We have kids that come up to us and tell us that they save their allowance money to donate to the playground, and they're making lemonade stands to donate the money to the playground. So the kids want this. They are so excited for this.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, definitely, like my daughter last year went and did announcements at all of the elementary schools when we were doing an event at Hudson Springs Park, and it was really just an awareness thing. And we had families who came and said, yeah, my child said, they heard it on the announcement. So definitely where we have asked, the schools have been very supportive, and thankfully our fund is through Hudson Community Foundation. So that also gives us that 501(c). So some of this ends up coming directly to the city, like the grants from our.
Is this inclusive playground?
Okay. So, we put that out because it's a 501(c). Like, we were able to give them a flyer that went out in the flyers to the schools. And if you have kids in schools, know that flyers come in multiples. And so the word of mouth and the in-person stuff really just helped a little bit more.
Thank you for your leadership on this fantastic project. One thing that you brought up a little bit that I don't think has been highlighted enough is that this is a playground that can benefit not only the children, but parents who want to play with the children on the playground and now go
Yeah.
and have that experience. So kudos to you.
Thank you. Yes, this is definitely a playground you will see all ages playing on. We have gone out to Mila's Way, which is in Randolph. It was the first and only inclusive playground in Portage County. And I have gotten to become friends with the two women who built that. It was a grandmother and daughter who built it for the granddaughter, Mila. And Sue Madigan is amazing. The grandmother, she has given me a tour on that playground, and it's just incredible. And like I said, the amount of detail that goes into it. But she told me that the favorite piece of equipment for adults is the teeter-totter, because they're chairs that you sit in on the teeter-totter, and it's kind of like rocking. And so more often than not, she finds the adults all sitting together. Yeah, which is fun. But this is a way she wanted to create a playground where you can actually play with your children. So parents aren't sitting on the benches on the outside of the playground on their phones, not interacting with their children. This is a way where all families can come together and play together. Even the swings, instead of having U-shaped swings, which can be nice because they mold your hips, but as an adult, those swings hurt your hips. Anytime Isabel wants me to swing with her, so we actually decided, and this is thanks to Mila's Way, flat swings. So that way adults can swing easily next to their children and it doesn't hurt. It's comfortable for everyone. So this really is, like I said, a great way. And especially even with grandparents, being able to get, I know that my grandmother would have never gone on like a main play structure with me and climbed up to the top. Well, on this, you can. It's wide ramping at the beginning, and it's ramping all the way around. It truly is a way that everyone can play together.
So thank you so.
Do you guys have a funding timeline, or have that?
So there's still some legislative things that have to happen for us to break ground next year. And I think it is tied to like what happens with the money from Amelia Sykes and where we stand. So our goal is to have enough by probably January, February, so that it feels like we can break ground next year. But no, there are some things that are still kind of like in that gray area, because although the land's been designated, there really hasn't been legislation that, confirms everything happening. But the city has gone through the process with Summit TV to purchase the equipment from that grant. They're storing it, which is like, we're talking truckload worth of things that they're storing. So it's kind of like, yes, we're all moving in the same direction, but like,
So
our
your
hard
funding
line
gap right now is how much? What's the
Sorry.
plan? Your funding gap, what are you trying to break?
Yeah.
Sorry.
We've added a little to this. Yeah. So, where are we at? There were a little, like I said, 1.1 million. We did get another grant through the Big Band Bash for a piece of equipment, one of our main pieces of equipment. The train that says Hudson Community Foundation, that the money for that was raised 2 weekends ago with the Hudson Community Foundation's Big Band Bash. So they have paid for this entire thing, which is awesome. And like Megan said, now I think we have a whole section of equipment that is covered. The city's working on the infrastructure, the legislative grants really are going towards infrastructure. Now we need to have money to do installation and the substrate, which is not as sexy as the train. I was just gonna say, wrap up and say thank you for having us again. We'll be here if there's any other questions. Megan has an iPad if you want to see the video of kind of the walkthrough, the playground, just flag us down. Thank you.
Ladies, you can help me with doing something before you leave. And if you get the video, if you could send it to us so we can put it on the website so that everybody has access to it. So we do a thing called Rotabuck. So I'm going to ask you ladies if you're kind enough to pick the winner. Oops. Rotabuck. Hey, $10. $3.55 is the big one. All right, last four. 2609. 2609. Coach. Yeah. Oh, is this smaller on purpose? Tom, do we have the? I don't have the marbles. That's yours. We'll get you. Thanks, ladies. Appreciate it. You want yours? Did you take the black one out? Darn. All right. Useless but important facts. Does anyone know where the Stanley Hotel is? It's any hands. It's in Colorado. It's actually north of Boulder, getting close to Wyoming. Had been around, oh my gosh, it's way more than 100 years old. So we do know somebody that Freeland Oscar Stanley, who was a wealthy individual, and his wealth came from plates. This is going back to when you needed plates to make photographs. It's really where his wealth came from. However, he's better known for the steam steamer. He and his brother also started the company of the steam motor car company, which did the steam steamer. He created the hotel. The hotel opened in 1909. It was its first guests pulled up to the most stylish hotel at the time. And these were the things that, this is 1909. Mountain wilderness surrounded by rustic haunts for hunters and homesteaders. And it was a posh hotel with electric lights, telephones, and ensuite bathrooms in 1909. And a staff of uniformed servants that provided you with your own Stanley steamer car while you stayed at this hotel. Unfortunately, by the 1970s, the hotel had gone into disrepair. A lot of people had stayed there. It's gorgeous. This thing is well over 100 rooms. An individual came to stay at the hotel who we all kind of know. That person was Stephen King. And he stayed at the hotel for the sole purpose of writing a novel. And the novel was The Shining. The Shining actually came from this hotel, built in 1909 by Stanley Steamer. And now you know the rest of the story. And that's your useless fact of today. So with that, everyone have a wonderful Wednesday. We'll see you very much next Wednesday.